contoh memori yang benar-benar terlatih.
There was one orator who said, you know, my memory is not very good anymore.
Ada seorang orator yang berkata, memori saya sudah tidak sebagus dulu.
When I was younger, I could hear 2,000 names and repeat them back in exactly the same sequence.
Ketika saya masih muda, saya bisa ingat 2.000 nama dan mengulang sesuai dengan urutannya.
But he said, now I'm old and my memory is not so good.
Sekarang aku udah tua, aku udah nggak punya memori yang sebagus dulu lagi.
But I want to tell you about my orator friends from back when we were in oratory school.
Sorry.
I want to tell you about my fellow orators from back when they were in.
Tapi
we
saya
were in
pengen
school
cerita
together.
teman-teman saya, orator-orator lain dari ketika saya berkenalan dengan mereka di sekolah oratori.
I want to tell you about their practice speeches that they gave in oratory school.
Saya ingin ceritakan bagaimana mereka mempraktekkan cara mereka berbicara di sekolah pidato tadi.
And he gives from memory about 100 of those speeches that he heard many decades earlier.
Dan saya bisa ceritakan ratusan pidato yang sudah diceritakan sebelumnya.
There was one person. He went. Do you have auctions here? Sometimes. Do you know what auction is?
Yes, we have auction here. Kita punya penggadaian. Auction itu lelang, ya.
Yeah. There was someone who went to an auction for a whole day.
Ada orang yang datang ke sebuah pelelangan sepanjang hari.
He didn't take any notes.
Dia tidak catat apapun.
But at the end of the day, he could repeat back every item that was sold, the person to whom it was sold, and the price for which it was sold.
Tapi di akhir hari dia bisa ingat apa saja yang dilelangkan, siapa saja yang lelang, dan berapa harga lelangnya itu.
Someone else went to a poetry reading.
Orang lain pergi ke acara pembacaan puisi.
And somebody read a poem that they had written.
Dan ada orang yang membacakan puisi yang sudah ditulisnya.
And after they had read their poem, the man in the back said, "That's my poem. You stole my poem."
Dan orang di belakang ada yang bilang, itu puisi saya, kau curi puisi saya. Yang kamu baca itu puisi saya.
And the man who wrote the poem, he couldn't repeat it from memory, but the man in the back could.
Dan orang yang nulis puisinya nggak bisa mengingat dari memori apa yang dia tulis, tapi orang yang di belakang dia bisa ingat itu puisinya dia.
And just when the man who was up front was getting very embarrassed,
jadi yang di depan itu ketika dia sudah malu karena ketahuan itu,
the man in the back said, "No, I'm just joking. I just wanted to show you how good my memory is."
Yang di belakang ngomong, enggak, sebenarnya saya bercanda aja, sebenarnya saya mau nunjukin bahwa saya ini punya ingatan yang kuat gitu. Bercandanya kelewatan.
We talked about orators, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to skip some of this. But most of the most prominent leaders in the early church were Jesus' disciples.
Kebanyakan dari pemimpin utama di gereja mula-mula adalah murid-murid Yesus.
They were Jesus' students.
Mereka itu murid-muridnya Yesus.
The main job of students was to remember what their teachers taught
Tugas
them.
utama murid-murid adalah mengingat apa yang gurunya katakan.
We expect that of all other disciples in the ancient Mediterranean world.
Dan itu hal yang dituntut terhadap semua murid-murid di dunia kuno.
Why would Jesus' disciples remember anything less well than other disciples?
Kenapa murid Yesus tidak bisa mengingat lebih baik daripada murid-murid kuno lainnya yang hidup pada masa itu?
It was the most widespread feature of ancient education.
Ini contoh guru-guru di dunia pendidikan kuno.
And the teachers in the schools would want their students to be able to carry on their teachings.
Guru-guru di sekolah tersebut mengharapkan murid-muridnya bisa meneruskan ajaran dari gurunya.
And they would practice what they heard that day.
Dan mereka akan melatih apa yang mereka dengar hari itu dari gurunya.
It's said that one school, the Pythagoreans, emphasized memory so much.
Contoh sekolah Pythagoras begitu menekankannya kepada ingatan, memori.
that before students were allowed to get out of bed the next morning, they had to be able to repeat back everything they'd heard the day before.
Sampai sedemikian jauhnya, sampai murid-muridnya nggak boleh tidur sebelum mereka bisa mengingat apa yang sudah diberikan hari sebelumnya.
So tomorrow morning we're going to test you.
Jadi besok saudara semua akan dites ya, ingat nggak apa yang dikasih hari ini?
I'm just joking.
Hanya bercanda.
They also would learn the deeds. They would learn what their teachers did.
Mereka juga belajar dari gurunya lewat perbuatan.
If a teacher behaved a certain way, later Jewish teachers would say, it must be all right because that teacher did it.
Jadi kalau seorang guru berkelakuan tertentu, maka orang-orang akan mengingat, itu tindakan itu pasti oke karena guru itu sudah melakukannya tindakan itu.
Also, we need to keep in mind that the way memory worked was communal.
Kita harus juga ingat bahwa cara memori bekerja itu bersifat komunal.
It's not just as if I said something only to Brother Zach and he said something to someone else and, one by one we shared it all around the room.
Sorry.
Oh, it's not like we just went one by one all around the room, passing it on one by one.
Oke, jadi cara kerjanya bukan seperti dikasih tahu ke seseorang lalu kemudian diteruskan ke semua orang di ruangan ini. Satu persatu.
If in that case, if one person got it wrong, then it would be ruined.
Jadi kalau satu orang itu salah, maka habislah itu ya, yang coba disampaikan tadi.
But this was public teaching. The teacher was teaching to all the disciples at once.
Tapi ini adalah ajaran umum di mana seorang guru mengajarkan kepada semua pada saat yang sama.
So it's more likely that you all, or at least many of you, will remember what I said because you all heard me, rather than it just being you heard somebody said that I said.
Sorry.
Oh,
in short sentence.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's communal.
Karena ini bersifat komunal.
When all the people hear, it provides more accountability for memory.
Jadi ketika orang mendengar itu, maka itu memberikan akuntabilitas ketika itu mendengarnya, karena didengarkan bersama-sama.
The translators have the harder job than I.
Jadi penerjemah punya pekerjaan yang lebih sulit dibanding yang ngomong.
Sometimes disciples also took notes.
Kadang-kadang juga murid-murid itu ambil catatan, tulis.
One of Jesus' disciples, a tax collector, would have certainly been able to take notes.
Jadi murid Yesus yang juga adalah pemungut cukai pasti itu nulis ya.
Disciples often publish their teachers' teachings afterwards.
Murid-murid juga suka menerbitkan apa yang diajarkan gurunya sesudah itu.
And this was true in both major disciplines of advanced education.
Ini berlaku untuk disiplin-disiplin mayor dari pendidikan tingkat tinggi.
There were, Jewish people, the advanced education was in the Torah, in the law.
Pendidikan tinggi bagi orang Yahudi adalah di Taurat, hukum.
But among Gentiles, there were two forms of advanced education. One was in philosophy.
Tapi bagi orang-orang non-Yahudi ada dua jenis pendidikan tingkat tinggi, filosofi.
And the other was in rhetoric or oratory.
Dan yang kedua retorika, cara berbicara.
And I'll give the example from oratory.
Saya akan kasih contoh dari oratori.
Quintilian was a Roman professor of oratory.
Quintilian adalah seorang profesor Romawi dalam hal oratori.
His students were boys.
Murid-muridnya adalah anak laki-laki.
But they took very careful notes on his teaching.
Dan murid-murid itu catat dengan baik apa yang diajarkan.
And then they went out and published his lectures based on the notes they had taken.
Dan mereka kemudian keluar dan kemudian menerbitkan catatan tadi, murid-murid tadi.
And Quintilian said, I wish they would not have done that.
Sorry.
Quintilian said, I wish you wouldn't have published my notes without showing me.
Gurunya bilang, Quintilian bilang, saya harap kamu sebenarnya jangan sebarkan itu sebelum saya lihat itu.
Because I would have corrected some of the grammar.
Mungkin saya akan koreksi dulu sebelum kamu sebarkan gitu ya, beberapa tata bahasanya.
But the content was very accurate.
Tetapi isinya itu akurat.
So when we look at how students' memory was done in the ancient world,
Jadi kalau kita lihat bagaimana pengaruh ingatan dari murid-murid di dunia kuno ini,
we really should expect that Jesus' disciples accurately preserved his teachings.
kita bisa mengharapkan bahwa murid-murid Yesus juga dengan baik bisa menyimpan ajaran Yesus.
This was also a major concern of Jewish teachers.
Ini juga adalah concern utama dari guru-guru Yahudi.
Now, when we look at the Gospels, there are some traits in the Gospels that we can use to say this must be authentic.
Ketika kita lihat Injil juga ada beberapa sifat dari Injil yang kita bisa bilang ini otentik.
I'm not saying that some parts aren't authentic. I'm just saying using historical means we can say these parts really look
Saya
authentic.
bukan bilang ada bagian Injil yang tidak otentik, tapi paling enggak ada bagian yang dengan metode sejarah kita bisa bilang ini otentik.
Because the Gospels are written in what language? In what language were the Gospels written?
Dalam bahasa apa Injil ditulis?
Greek.
Greek, Yunani.
And yet Jesus often spoke a different language, Aramaic.
Tapi sering Yesus ngomong dari bahasa lain, yaitu bahasa Aram.
And so often in the Gospels we have figures of speech that are Aramaic figures of speech.
Jadi di dalam Injil kita banyak menemukan gaya bahasa yang bahasa Aram.
I don't know if the expression "the son of the man" makes sense in Indonesian. The son of the man.
Anak manusia, the son. Saya nggak tahu apakah ungkapan anak manusia ini berarti apa di dalam konteks Indonesia.
In English, the son of the man makes no sense. In Greek, it makes no sense.
Di dalam Inggris, di Amerika dan di Yunani, ungkapan anak manusia itu tidak berarti apa-apa.
So the Gospels still call Jesus the son of the man, which is an Aramaic figure of speech.
Tapi Injil tetap bilang Yesus adalah anak manusia yang bukan gaya bahasa Aram. Yang adalah gaya bahasa Aram.
You have phrases in the Gospels that are elsewhere tested only in Jewish sources, never in later Greek sources.
Ada beberapa frase di dalam Injil yang berasal dari sumber-sumber Yahudi dan bukan sumber-sumber yang Yunani.
Sayings like take the beam out of your eye before you try to take the splinter from somebody else's eye.
Seperti contoh ungkapan keluarkan lumbar dari biji matamu, gitu ya.
That was a Jewish figure of speech.
Itu adalah gaya bahasa Yahudi.
Or the first half of the Lord's Prayer.
Atau dari doa Bapa kami,
Hallowed be your name,
dimuliakan namamu,
and may your kingdom come.
datanglah kerajaanmu.
There was a Jewish prayer that was prayed every day that said, Hallowed be your name, may your kingdom come.
Jadi ada doa-doa Yahudi yang dinaikkan dengan ungkapan seperti itu. Dimuliakan namamu, datanglah kerajaanmu.
So Jesus draws on a model that his disciples already knew.
Jadi Yesus juga mengajarkan sesuatu dari model yang murid-murid sudah ketahui sebagai orang Yahudi.
When the Pharisees asked Jesus his position about divorce,
Ketika orang-orang Farisi menanyakan Yesus tentang perceraian,
that was a debate between the two schools of Pharisees exactly in that generation, Jesus' generation.
itu adalah sebuah perdebatan antara dua aliran Farisi di generasi itu.
When Jesus talks to the Pharisees about washing the inside or the outside of a cup,
Ketika Yesus berbicara tentang Farisi harus membersihkan bagian dalam dari cangkir,
that was a debate among the Pharisees precisely in that generation.
itu juga adalah perdebatan antara aliran Farisi yang ada di generasi itu.
The phrase moving mountains was used to describe something virtually impossible.
Menggerakkan gunung adalah menggambarkan sesuatu pekerjaan yang tidak mungkin ya dilakukan.
Another way of describing something impossible was as a large animal going through the eye of a needle.
Ungkapan lain yang dipakai untuk menggambarkan sesuatu yang sulit untuk dilakukan itu adalah kalau ada binatang melewati lubang jarum.
Although today we understand that if you squeeze a camel through the eye of a needle, you get chamomile tea.
Kita tahu sekarang kalau ada unta yang bisa dikecilkan, bisa lewat lubang jarum itu apa ya? Chamomile tea, teh dari bunga chamomile. Teh dari bunga chamomile.
Eyewitnesses remained prominent in the early church.
Saksi mata itu mempunyai posisi yang utama di gereja mula-mula.
All scholars believe that Paul wrote Galatians and 1 Corinthians.
Semua ilmuwan percaya bahwa Paulus menulis surat Galatia dan Korintus.
In these letters, Paul names leaders of the church who were disciples of Jesus.
Di surat ini Paulus menyebutkan nama dari pemimpin gereja yang adalah murid-murid Yesus.
And we also know that these eyewitnesses, some of them died for their testimony about Jesus.
Dan kita juga tahu bahwa saksi-saksi mata ini beberapa dari mereka mati sebagai martir.
Now people can die for things that are false, but they don't die for things that they know are false.
Ada orang yang mati karena sesuatu yang salah, tapi tidak mungkin orang mau mati untuk sesuatu yang salah.
The disciples were obviously sincere in believing that these are the things they heard Jesus teach.
Ini berarti murid-murid tulus dengan apa yang mereka percaya dari apa yang Yesus ajarkan.
And that these were the things they saw Jesus do.
Dan inilah hal-hal yang mereka lihat yang Yesus lakukan.
Also in Luke chapter 1,
juga di dalam Lukas pasal yang pertama,
in verse 3,
ayat yang ketiga,
Luke says that I have thorough knowledge of these matters.
Lukas bilang bahwa aku meneliti segala peristiwa itu dengan seksama.
Well, how could Luke have had access to eyewitnesses? How could Luke have investigated?
Bagaimana Lukas memiliki akses kepada saksi-saksi mata ini?
Well, Luke wrote 2 volumes.
Lukas menulis 2 buku.
His first volume was the Gospel of Luke.
Yang pertama Injil Lukas.
What was his second volume?
Yang kedua adalah,
and in the second volume, sometimes Luke says we when he's traveling with Paul.
Dan di buku yang kedua ini dia sering sebut dirinya adalah kami ketika dia bepergian bersama Paulus.
Some scholars have tried to get around this.
Para ahli mencoba menjelaskan hal ini.
I mean, scholars would have nothing much to do if they didn't try to get around the obvious.
Para ahli nggak punya kerjaan ya kalau dia nggak mencari-cari hal-hal di luar yang biasa gitu.
So some say, well, it was a fictitious we.
Beberapa ahli bilang ini perkataan kami yang sifatnya fiktif.
But in ancient historical sources, you don't have fictitious we's. You only have fictitious we's in novels.
Jadi dalam sumber-sumber sejarah kuno tidak pernah dipakai perkataan kami itu dalam pengertian fiktif. Perkataan fiktif itu hanya ada di dalam novel.
And I read through these ancient historical
Dan
sources.
saya
so I
sudah
know this
membaca
is the
semua
case.
sumber-sumber sejarah kuno ini.
Plus, if Luke were going to make it up, why would he make up just being with Paul sometimes when he travels?
Kalaupun Lukas mau mengarang-ngarang itu, kenapa dia mengarang-arang sesuatu yang sifatnya hanya, saya bersama dengan Paulus dalam perjalanan.